Have you ever stopped to think about the impact that celebrities have on us? Today we're going to dive into a topic that, I confess, is both fascinating and somewhat controversial. We're talking about none other than Madonna and other highly influential artists. But what do we really know about the symbols and hidden messages in their performances? Imagine that while watching a show, you're not just having fun with the music, but also being exposed to a series of symbolisms that carry deeper meanings. What if I told you that some of these performances could be filled with elements that some interpret as demonic? What does this really mean? Is Madonna, known for her bold artistic and visual feats, merely exploring creative freedom, or is there something more sinister behind her artistic choices? And even more intriguing, what would be the impact of these symbols on those who watch them? Have you ever felt somehow different after watching a music video or performance that seemed to have a slightly darker subtext? These are questions that do not intend to accuse, but rather to open up space for a broader discussion about the role of art and entertainment in our society. What is the limit between artistic expression and subliminal influence? And at the end of the day, who really holds control over what is broadcast on screens and stages around the world? Let's together unravel these mysteries and better understand not only what our favorite artists are showing us, but also what they might be telling us without words. Feel free to share your opinions and experiences, as this is a space open for dialogue. So what do you think is really going on behind the scenes of pop music? In the annals of biblical history, the Levites hold a crucial role, not only as priests, but as the bearers of harmony and spirituality among the people of Israel. The word Levite comes from the Hebrew Levi, which means associated. They were closely associated with the tabernacle, later the temple, and dedicated themselves to the service of God and the community. Since ancient times, music has been a bridge between the divine and the human, used not only for worship, but also as a vital instrument in times of war. The Levites, armed with their instruments, led the marches, raising the morale of the warriors and invoking the protection and favor of God. They understood that music had the power to unite, to heal, and to strengthen the spirit. However, the same music that was used to worship and connect with the divine is today facing a spiritual battle. In modern shows, which often resemble rituals, we see how music can be distorted. Satan, the fallen angel who, according to the scriptures, was responsible for music in heaven, now seeks to use this divine gift to divert the hearts of the faithful, replacing the sacred with the profane, reverence with chaos. Some of us have surely heard that shows are more than simple musical events. I want to go back to a case that caught the world's attention and generated a lot of controversy. The Astroworld Festival, led by the famous rapper Travis Scott. But what really happened at that show that still has us questioning so much? Think for a moment, how could a musical concert be described by some as a satanic ritual? It's intriguing, isn't it? The event was marked not only by the presence of large crowds and the intense performance of the artist, but also by a series of symbols that many interpreted as explicit and even of an occult nature. But what do these symbols really mean in a music show? Now, let's look at an even darker and more serious aspect. During this festival, tragedies occurred. Lives were lost and many other fans ended up seriously injured. These tragic events sparked intense debates, and some people even interpreted these accidents as satanic sacrifices. Is it possible? Or are we looking at a sad coincidence in a poorly managed event? In light of this information, I ask, to what extent do artists have control over the interpretation of their work? And further, what is their responsibility for the symbols they choose to use in their performances? Let's open a dialogue about the influence of pop culture on our lives and how it can sometimes cross lines we never expected. What do you think about this? How can we discern between art and something potentially dangerous? Some theories suggest that certain shows are not just entertainment. They could be considered true rituals, capable of opening spiritual portals, or, depending on the perspective, spiritual portals. Sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it? But what if there were a grain of truth in all this? Think with me. Why have we seen a growing use of symbols that some might consider subliminal or even satanic at large-scale events? Is it just a marketing strategy to attract more attention? Or is there something deeper and perhaps darker being communicated? The Bible, in various passages, warns about the signs of the end times and mentions the rise of the Antichrist. For example, in 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4, Paul speaks about the man of sin, the son of perdition. Interestingly, many theologians and Bible scholars suggest that current events could be setting the stage for these prophecies. Could the next generation witness events that today we only read about in the scriptures? Have you ever stopped to think about the impact that music and live shows can have on us? Brothers and sisters, I would like to take you to a deep and, in a way, unsettling reflection. Since we all have heard theories suggesting that certain musical events could be something more than just entertainment. Some say that these shows could function as rituals that open portals, not only celestial, but perhaps to darker dimensions. Let's explore together. Why have we observed a growing adoption of symbols that some interpret as satanic or subliminal in large musical events? This leads us to question, is it just a marketing trend, or is there a deeper message being conveyed? The Bible and apocryphal texts are full of predictions and warnings about the end times. In 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4, the Apostle Paul speaks about the coming of the man of sin, the son of perdition, who will oppose everything that is called God or object of worship. This would be a sign of the end times, which many scholars believe is drawing ever closer. The apocryphal texts, like the Book of Enoch, also discuss the power of symbols and rituals in influencing the spiritual realm. Enoch, in his visions, describes celestial beings and events that presage significant changes in the spiritual and physical world. These texts suggest a connection between the physical world of humans and the spiritual battles that occur outside our direct perception. So, what does this mean for us today? In light of such theories and scriptures, how should we interpret the cultural events we participate in? What is the true impact of music and the symbols it carries on our lives and society? Could we be unwittingly exposed to messages that have the power to influence not only our culture, but also our spiritual state? Now let's dive into how idolatry in biblical times finds mirrors in modern shows. In the story of Exodus 32, we find the people of Israel worshiping a golden calf while Moses received the commandments on Mount Sinai. This moment was not just a lapse in faith. It was an attempt to find security in something tangible, visible, and controllable. This story resonates today when we see how modern shows transform artists into almost divine icons, where the worship of talents mixes with the veneration of images. Moving forward to the days of the kings of Israel, the worship of Baal involved intense rituals and, in many cases, practices that challenged the moral and ethical precepts of society. Today, some modern cultural events seem to reflect these practices, glorifying dark themes and promoting a culture that often challenges established ethical norms, reminding us of the ancient cults of Baal. Satan and his demonic traits have been symbolically represented in various genres, especially in rock and heavy metal. Artists and bands often use images and themes associated with him to evoke an aura of rebellion or to shock the audience. For example, the black metal genre is notorious for its use of satanic symbolism and lyrics that often explore themes of chaos, rebellion, and the occult. Bands like Behemoth and Gorgoroth have used these themes not only as a form of artistic expression, but also as a critique of religious orthodoxy and social norms. In musical performances, this representation can be seen in the use of symbols such as inverted pentagrams, inverted crosses, and other images that openly challenge traditional Christian concepts and symbols. These aesthetic choices not only reflect a connection with the characteristics attributed to Satan, such as rebellion and defiance of authority, but also seek to provoke reflection on freedom, morality, and power structures in society. It's important to note that while some artists use these symbols literally, believing in their power and meaning, many use them metaphorically, as a way to explore complex themes of control, resistance, and human nature. Music, as a mirror of society, reflects both our internal and cultural struggles, and the use of satanic imagery can be seen as an extremely visual manifestation of this battle between good and evil. Order and chaos, oppression and freedom. The apocryphal texts, particularly the Book of Enoch, offer a fascinating perspective on the fallen angels, known as the Watchers, B'nai Ha-Elohim, which means sons of God. This expression reflects their divine origin and their initial position as celestial beings before their fall. The term B'nai Ha-Elohim is significant because it expresses not only their divine lineage, but also the severity of their transgression in disobeying the divine order and interfering in the course of humanity. These angels, led by figures like Azazel and Semjaza, descended to earth and corrupted humanity, teaching them forbidden arts and occult knowledge, such as weapon making and magic. This transfer of knowledge is seen as one of the reasons for the great corruption that led to the flood, highlighting the devastating consequence of the dissemination of corrupting knowledge and practices. Especially in certain subgenres of rock and metal, one can observe a direct analogy with the story of the fallen angels. Just as the Watchers brought forbidden knowledge to humanity, some musicians and bands are seen as bearers of ideologies that challenge social and religious norms. For example, genres like black metal and death metal often explore themes of occultism and rebellion, using music as a means to express and sometimes promote perspectives considered subversive or corrupting. In our journey through music and artistic representations, it's crucial to stop and reflect on the deeper impact these experiences might have on our lives. Often, without realizing it, we are influenced not just emotionally but also spiritually by what we consume visually and auditorily. How do these representations impact your inner peace or your worldview? Have you ever felt uneasy after an event, without knowing exactly why? This is where the need for a deep dialogue becomes evident. I invite each of you to share your experiences and feelings after participating in cultural events. How has this affected your spirituality or your emotional state? This space is safe and open for everyone to express their concerns without judgment, understanding that each of us may be affected differently. I understand that navigating the complexities of symbols and messages in cultural events can be challenging. Often, it may feel like we're immersed in symbolisms that we don't fully comprehend. To help in this journey, I would like to offer some guidelines based on biblical and theological principles that can serve as compasses for discerning the nature and purpose of these symbols. Examine everything in the light of Scripture. Everything we consume should be filtered through the truths found in the Bible. Ask yourself, does this align with the teachings of love, peace, and justice found in the Scriptures? James 1:5 encourages us to ask for wisdom from God, who gives to all generously and without reproach. Before participating in an event, or when you feel confused about certain symbols, take a moment to pray and ask for clarity. Proverbs 11:14 mentions that in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Share your experiences and doubts with other believers. They may offer perspectives and insights that you may not have considered. If something makes you feel uncomfortable or disturbed, do not ignore these feelings. They may be indicative that something is not aligned with your spirit. I know that these topics can be heavy and, at times, a bit frightening, but you are not alone in this journey. We are here to support each other, to grow together in understanding, and to seek a life that not only satisfies us aesthetically, but also is congruent with our deepest values. I'm here to listen and help as needed as we navigate together through these sometimes turbulent waters of culture and spirituality. Throughout her career, Madonna has sparked intense debates about religion, spirituality, and its representation in pop culture. Let's explore her statements on religion, the evolution of her spirituality, and the nature of her shows. Madonna has been vocal about her critical views regarding Catholicism, the religion in which she was raised. She has expressed dissatisfaction with what she perceives as the restrictive and limiting dogmas of the Catholic Church, leading to a search for a more comprehensive and personalized spirituality. In various interviews, Madonna has mentioned that although she respects the Catholic faith for its beauty and symbolism, she feels constrained by its traditional teachings. This tension between her upbringing and her personal beliefs has been a constant throughout her career and work. Over time, Madonna has explored various spiritual traditions reflecting a personal journey in search of a deeper understanding that transcends the boundaries of Catholicism. She has delved into the study of Kabbalah, a school of mystical Jewish thought, which seems to resonate with her pursuit of a more intimate and less institutionalized spiritual experience. Through her music and public performances, Madonna explores themes that mix the sacred with the profane, challenging viewers to reconsider what they deem sacred and what is doctrinal. Madonna's shows are often seen not just as artistic performances, but as events laden with deep symbolism and, for some critics, elements of satanic rituals. The use of religious iconography in a provocative and subversive manner is a hallmark of her presentations. For example, her infamous performance of Like a Prayer, which featured burning crosses and images of sanctity mixed with explicit sexuality, was interpreted by many as a direct attack on traditional Christian symbols. The analysis of the elements used in Madonna's shows reveals a complex mix of religious and occult references. For example, the recurrent use of the pentagram or inverted crosses, along with dance and attire that evoke images of both sanctity and desecration, suggests an intention to provoke and question established religious norms. Additionally, the choice of venues for her performances, such as churches or scenes that mimic religious rituals, strengthens the argument that her shows have layers of meaning that go beyond mere entertainment. This is a call for vigilance. Like the Levites of the past, each of us has a responsibility to protect the purity of our worship and the power of music in our lives. We are faced with a crucial choice: to follow the path of distraction and spiritual forgetfulness, or to rediscover music as a form of communion with the sacred. It is a time to reassess the impact of music on our souls and how we can use it to strengthen our faith and our values. Music should be a modern altar where we celebrate our faith and reaffirm our commitment to the divine. It should elevate us, not degrade us. It should unite us, not divide us. May we learn from the Levites and use music to glorify, to heal, and to bring light to this world in dire need of hope. This is the call for all of us, to rediscover the sacred in music and in our daily lives, rejecting the temptations that lead us astray from the true path, and uniting in the battle for the purity of our spirit. May music be a force for good, a vehicle of love, and a sign of our unwavering faith. If you felt a connection with what we discussed today, or have something to share about how music and cultural symbols have impacted your life, please leave your comment below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more deep reflections like this one. Together, we can explore and better understand the forces shaping our spiritual and cultural world. Your voice is important in this dialogue, so join us on this journey of discovery and transformation. See you next time. God bless you.